Hi, and thanks for joining us on a very special edition of Three Guys and a Lot of Wine. I'm Bobby P., and I'm joined by Mr. Brian Short, who's been on the show a few times, and also by Keith Norton, who's been on the show a few times and also has one of the higher rated shows that have been on the show, Keith. So we'll see what this show brings. And we got a lot to do tonight. This is Aeration of Wines. Yay or nay? And we're going to find out some interesting stuff because we got some fantastic gadgets. And I'm going to jump in right off the bat. So this little gadget, and do you remember what this was called, Brian? When you are...
I think it was like an aerating decanter.
It is, but it's a little different than your typical aerating decanter. So we're going to start off, and I had already poured some cab. It's a French cab, which we tasted on the show before, but I've never really aerated it. It's a Les Elise, and it's a basic French cab, about $14, $15. But we've never aerated it before. So I have small pours for everybody, unaerated. Now this little contraption that you can get on Amazon or just do a Google search for craft aerator.
Yeah.
Little rubber step, you put it right on top like this. You push it down. This has never been done on the show before. You then tip the bottle. You then tip the bottle over.
Hope it works.
And there it is. It is a beautiful pour coming down aerating. So while that's doing, let's take a quick sip of this.
Absolutely.
Let's get what this tastes like. This is your basic French cab. It's not expensive. It's not cheap. It's your middle of the road, good drinking cab. Should be very dry. Yeah, it's not too fruity, not too fruit forward.
No.
It's very smooth. There's no harsh red bite. And that's, I'm a white wine guy. I don't usually drink reds because I don't like that aftertaste on the palate. I think it, sometimes it's great with a steak. It depends on what kind of a red it is. But this is just a fine, smooth red. It's just a nice flavor.
It's unlike California wines, which can be a little on the sweeter side.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So you've given me some good span of California wine.
Thank you, Bob. I completely agree. I mean, I think a lot of times cabs can be, people think of a cab that's bold and kind of fruit forward and in your face. But this one really, the fruit is balanced. It's very well, elegant is kind of the word I would think of. And the tannins aren't very harsh. They're not big tannins, so it's easily drinkable.
It is mineral to me, but it's a wine that's not trying too hard and knows what it is.
Right.
So here's the next part, guys. So this is a real fun. So you want to still drink it out of your bottle? You tip it back over. There's no spillitation, and the wine goes right back into the bottle. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. And if I can for a moment, yes. I think what's really great about this, and you can see the bubbles right here, showing that it is getting air into the wine.
Substantially more so.
It's substantially more so. More so than what you might be able just to get like in your glass, even by just swirling it. Mm-hmm. This is really getting a lot of oxygen, which is going to open up that wine, really kind of bring out the nuances of the wine. So I'm really excited to see how it compares.
Well, that's why I said, Keith, is it going to be yay or nay? I'm expecting some pretty significant differences in the flavor of this after doing this.
Absolutely. And not to mention the entertainment value of watching it go in and out of the aerating decanter is wonderful.
Yeah, what's great is unlike regular decanters, sometimes you always spill.
Yeah.
Really did get any spillage on this.
Foolproof.
Yeah.
Now Brian's already committed a faux pas. He's got wine left in his mouth.
I'm out of wine from the show. It's been a while.
Keith is almost empty. There's a little spot there, but that's okay. I think the difference is going to be very noticeable. So we want to give Keith a little pour first.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this is very exciting because we've done an aeration show before, but never with these type of contraptions. So I'm really looking forward. Yes, thank you. Ready?
There we go.
Here we go.
Ooh. I mean, just on the nose itself, I think it actually brings out more of the fruit
Yeah,
than it did
exactly,
the first time.
the fruit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so much more full than it was in the first glass.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah. Again, without being sour.
Yeah.
You actually taste the actual fruit flavors.
Right.
I think this is a classic example of even an inexpensive bottle. I mean, just imagine what this could do with a more expensive wine, which generally you need to aerate a little bit farther, more, or breathe. But this really brought out that more fruit-centric aspect of the wine.
And it softened the tannins some, too.
Very much so.
Yeah, so it becomes even more drinkable, more enjoyable.
Yeah.
You don't have the kind of drying sensation in your mouth as much.
You do not. This is fascinating. I know you've used this before.
I love this.
And this is unbelievable.
But I think it really brings up the point, and a lot of people could ask, especially if they're not red wine drinkers, why aerate? And I think what we're doing is showing you, rather than just going through a dry explanation, we're explaining how the practical difference will be between the glass before and after.
I know if Rocket was here, he would dazzle us with some of
Yes.
his technical wordplay, but it really just adding that air that quickly.
Yeah. I actually, in honor of Rocky, I did a little bit of
Oh.
research. I'm not going to have the 15 syllable words that Rocky would normally have, but it's all about the oxygen and evaporation. So the oxygen, once the oxygen really hits the wine, it really kind of gets rid of some of the harsher elements, harsher molecules. That's just the reaction that it has with the air, and then it creates some evaporation of some of the kind of. Sometimes you get like that harsh alcohol
Yes,
overtone as
very
soon as you
much
open up a bottle. Maybe if some sulfites were added, you might smell that, so it might not smell very well. That evaporation that the oxygen is creating kind of dissipates that. So all of those kind of harsh elements get dissipated, gets rounded out, and it kind of brings out the fruit a little bit more so that it doesn't block the fruit anymore.
And what's good, Keith, for you especially, well, for all of us, is with this type of aeration device, you put the wine right back in the bottle, so you're good to go.
Yeah.
Whether you're having friends over or you're bringing it to a BYOB place or even a restaurant where you're going to pay your own corkage, your wine is now properly aerated.
Right.
Because most of the time, if you think about it, you go to a restaurant, you order even an expensive bottle of wine. News for you, it's not aerated.
No.
Yeah.
They're opening around the table. So
Right.
this is a great, great idea. So I think let's finish this one, Brian. Why don't we go to yours? We're going to do the Pinot Noir later. And I think Brian has a Italian.
Yeah, it's a Sicilian wine. Frodo Montoni is the winery. It is a Nero Diabla, which actually can only be found. Well, I think it's a native of Sicily. Really great wine. I think this is going to be a great one to aerate because the tasting notes on the website literally said needs to breathe for an hour. So I think what we're going to see here is using one of these aerators. You lessen that time, so you don't have to wait.
This is our non-aerated glass on this one. Thank you. And if we have time, we have other aeration devices too that I want to try to squeak into that aren't as complicated or expensive, but maybe they do just as good of a job. We'll see.
Well, it's
All right, so here's now you notice Brian's bottle is a little bit fancier than my bottle.
This was a Christmas present by my wonderful wife, Rachel. So,
Which is the reason I got one. Rachel, good job, good job. That looks just as pretty.
but yeah, just love that waterfall effect.
Yeah. Your base, though, is a little bit bigger than my
Yeah.
base. So you got to watch that. Okay. All right, so interesting. Okay, that's got a nice aroma.
Yeah.
Have you had this wine before?
I had once before,
Okay.
and I really do like it. It has a very kind of earthy smell to it.
Yeah. Wow, that does come through too.
So this is a very shout out to Bottle Stop for G. He explained that they do a lot of organic farming, which means they fertilize the ground with manure. So that's sometimes how you get some of that earthy, kind of. That's what I'm looking for here.
I gotcha. What,
Does not taste like manure.
are you finding this is drying your mouth a little bit more than the first
Yeah,
wine?
it does. It does. But I love the flavor. You're not getting the fruit notes
Right.
and those fruit tones, but it's earthy. It's a little bit heartier and more substantial.
Yeah.
I like this.
I like it too.
I mean, I like most Italian wines, but this one's especially. What's the price point on this one?
This was 22.
All right, so it's one of our higher. What's your price point tonight, Keith?
19.
19. All right, so we go from 15. So Brian, of course, has the most expensive bottle and the biggest carafe. So
Go big or go home.
go after it. Go big or go home.
Big or go home.
Risk it for the biscuit, as I say, right? Yeah. So this.
Now, by the way, I have never aerated this wine. Actually.
Oh, so this is a first for you, just like it was for me with this one, and that made a substantial difference. I've had this many times. We've done this on the show, I think, twice in the last 6 months, and that made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference across the board.
This is fun.
So when we finally get down to yours, Keith, I don't know if we should use one of the same crafts again, or we might use this one, or we might use this one both for. I think this one, because this is an inexpensive
Sure.
aerator, and let's still see if you can notice a difference on something that's a little bit more expensive.
Absolutely.
Have you used it a lot at home, Brian, besides I know the first time you told me to use it, but have you been using this regularly with you and Rachel when you?
Yeah, if we have we won't use it for our everyday wine, but if we have a nice special wine on a Friday or Saturday night, we'll definitely break this out.
I just love the fact that you
do like that taste comparison.
The fact that you can pour it back in the bottle is just fantastic.
It's so key.
It's so cool.
And you're right, especially if you have a screw top, and you show up.
Yep.
And it looks like you've never opened it.
This is very exciting. I know Rachel's over there desperately trying to try some of this after the show.
Yeah.
Now this is fascinating. I think this has mellowed the wine compared to the first tasting.
I think so too.
It's a very neutral flavor right now, at least on my palate.
I think with the first wine, where it was a lot fruitier, the aeration brought out the fruit tones. This being a lot earthier, it actually mellowed them. But in both cases, it made it a slightly lighter wine.
Yeah.
And it kind of dances on the palate.
A lighter wine. I just took a piece of cheese to see how that goes. The cheese should go with pretty much all the red wine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're right. Definitely mellowed out those earthiness, those
Right.
earth tones, so that it's more subtle. Sort of wine feels a little bit more balanced, and it definitely is a little more. But you're right. But it doesn't bring a whole bunch of fruit, but yet it makes it just even.
Yeah.
Kind of evens it out.
Exactly.
mellows it out.
Exactly.
It's another example of, like I said, our second wine tonight, that these are both really good drinking wines on their own. But as soon as you add some aeration to it, I mean, you could probably discuss and save the world with thoughts drinking these wines, just sitting at the table talking about things. That's how much difference the flavor is when you aerate wine, in my opinion. It's just, and I have a little allergies because I mowed the lawn yesterday, so my taste buds might not be as precise as my two guests, but it is substantially different in a positive way.
I think with the first two, without aeration, I need a red meat platter. With aeration, I can just have cheese.
There you go. That's it.
That's a very good point.
I'm going to guess the alcohol content on mostly everything on the table is between 12 and 13% with these red wines, right?
Correct. I think that's like the 13.5.
Yeah. So, do we want to go with Keith or do we want to go with the Pinot Noir? You want to save Keith? Do you want to go with the Pinot Noir? What do you think, Keith? What is your opinion?
Let's shift a little and go.
Yeah, I think let's shift it because that's what
We're going to Spain.
We're going to go to Spain.
Right.
We're going to Spain.
In Soto La Planta, it is, again, a Spanish wine. It grown about 2 hours outside of Madrid. It's a hardy grape because the climate change is so varied and different in that region. Very, very harsh winters, very, very hot summers. So they almost call them the survivor grapes. Makes a wonderful, very, very full and rich wine.
You've had this before?
Yes.
Never ever aerated?
No.
Oh, good.
So this would be a first.
This is so exciting. So exciting. So let's see, what glass should we go with? Back to the first one?
Sure, why not?
No, I know most people would go with completely fresh new glasses, but I'm only human. I can only carry so much to the studio.
We'll forgive you, Bob.
All right, thank you. Now, generally, Spanish wines, and we've had a lot of Spanish wines on the show, can be a little powerful or tannic right off the bat. So I'm curious if this is going to...
This one's different.
Oh, sweet Jiminy Crickets. That's...
Oh, wow.
That's nice just out of the bottle.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
That's really nice. Definitely tannic, though.
Yes, absolutely. It'll hit you.
Yeah.
But it's a little sweet for a red. It's a little smooth, but you do feel that power coming through.
I was not expecting that for a Spanish red. I'm so used to a little bit more...
Yeah, more of a punch.
Yeah,
to
a
the
little bit more
mouth.
of a punch.
Yeah.
This is going to be really exciting when this gets here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Bob, sometimes when I'm on the show, I talk about front porch wines. And this is a red I think you could just serve on the front porch. Springtime, summertime, a little bit of cheese, some snacks. You don't need a full meal around it.
I will say, a lot of times,
sipping wine.
you don't drink a lot of red wine in the summertime because it's hot. I mean, if you're inside air conditioning, you might drink some. But I think you're right. All these wines tonight, and especially this one, and it probably could be chilled just a tiny bit, 58 degrees.
And so the notes on it are to aerate it 2 hours before and serve it slightly chilled. That's why it makes, I think, even a good summer wine.
Yeah.
So, yes, go ahead.
I'm going to give this to you to attach that.
So
device.
we're going to, even though I really want to pour this in one of the glass ones, but we might do that at the end of the show.
Okay.
So this is what you call your handy go-to BYOB aerator. And Rocky turned me on to this a while back. And this will aerate your wine. Obviously not as good as the ones we've had before. But you just stick that right on the top, like that. Now we're still drinking our wines. Actually, Keith, you're done, so I'll let you pour your first glass yourself. And you'll see that the wine pours just a little bit slower because there's a filter in there that's sort of adding a little oxygen to it, slowing the pour down a little bit. And these generally are sold on Amazon, I think, for a 2-pack for $15. Well, that's a big pour you got there, Keith.
But I think with a lighter wine, it'll be just
He
fine.
wants to get a true.
He wants to get a true sampling
of the wine.
That's a Rocky pour.
Rocky pour.
You always got to watch Rocky when he pours on the show. It's just like he's
And by the way, speaking of Rocky and his wife Sandy, this little twist at the end is courtesy of her training. We actually lovingly refer to it as
the Sandy twist.
Sandy twist.
That's right. I should have remembered that.
Ooh. Once again, bringing out more fruit to the nose.
Right.
It still works. It's still doing something with the wine.
Yeah.
So aeration is a fascinating thing. I mean, I think it's going to work for most people. I mean, it really depends on what your palate likes in regards to wine. But I'm going to tell you something. I like the first taste before the aeration on this.
I do too.
Interesting.
It's different, but I love the first. I might like the first better than the
And you said that they said to aerate this.
2 hours before and slightly chill it.
That's fascinating. Wine can be very subjective, and obviously people's palates are different. But I just think it had a more balanced flavor before we actually used the aeration. Now, whether or not the fancy craft would have made it different, because that's really impounding the air really fast into the wine, we might not know. Well, if we do know, the show will be over, and we can't tell you because we'll do it after the show. But I do like the way it tasted beforehand.
It's a great wine.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're correct, which is once again kind of fascinating about wine is that it's subjective, it changes, and sometimes you may like how it was before the change.
Yep.
And I like your point about porch wines. When we think of porch wines, a lot of times we think of white wines, a light white wine, but there are red wines that are perfectly nice to drink in the summertime if you get the right one, or as we've seen, if you aerate it properly, it becomes a wine that you can sit and chill, on your porch with some cheese,
100%.
with friends, and drink it.
There are some people that just don't like white wines.
Right.
Don't really like rosés either. They're only going to go for the reds. I think this shows that you can have, well, I'll just call it a summer red.
Yeah. And in fact, you can chill it too, which is very interesting. You don't really think about that when it comes to red wine.
You can have your summer reds and drink it too.
Exactly.
So I want to demonstrate really quick before we get to the Pinot Noir. We have another little contraption here that I got a few years back as a gift. It is called a wine glass aerator. And I'm just going to demonstrate that with something.
Never seen that before.
We thought it was a candle holder.
I did. Hey, I got a candle holder on here.
You will see what it does in a moment.
That's just fun.
That is pretty cool.
It's more for a couple if you're at home, or if you bring your glasses like I do to be going places. The only problem with this is it looks great, and you'll definitely get stares wherever you have with this. But you'll see how there's a little residual wine. So it might get on your nose. So just be prepared that if you do drink that.
Yeah.
It didn't get on my nose, though.
But you're an expert.
It's a little interesting contraption, also available on Amazon. Just look for wine glass aerator. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, yes, go ahead.
Oh, and this is just your typical decanter.
Yes, and actually, explain that a little, because people just assume that that's the only thing you can use to decanter.
So a decanter is typically what you would use to bring oxygen into the wine. It does, the concept is still the same. You're bringing oxygen in, it kind of creates a larger surface area for the oxygen, surface area for the wine, for the oxygen to interact with the wine. It's just going to take a lot longer to get to that same point as you would with an aerated.
And those are a pain to pour into a glass sometimes.
Sometimes
You always end up
really,
spilling.
really hard. And honestly, they're hard to clean too sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
But, they come in very different shapes. The shape really doesn't matter too much. It really is just getting that oxygen in there. But it's gonna take longer. So if you have like your Spanish red that it said, aerate 2 hours before, maybe you don't have that time.
Yep.
Mine said aerate, oxygenate an hour before. A lot of times you just don't have that time, or you may forget. Then you pull out your aerator and you can really get that infusion of oxygen in a faster period of time.
All right, we're going to finish up with the Pinot Noir, also the same vineyard, the Les Elise. Once again, we've had this on the show before, never aerated, so I'm going to give it a pour.
All right.
Pour. And I'm going to pour for Mr. Keith.
Grazie.
And once again, I know this is going to have a little bit of the cab left into it, but that's all right.
Okay.
We're going to stick that in just like that. Then we're going to tip it. I feel like I'm doing one of those TV shows where you see as seen on TV. There you go. So that's going to aerate. Do you generally aerate Pinot Noirs? Have you?
You absolutely can. I think sometimes Pinots are a little bit more delicate, so aerating, you might not get as big of a difference, and your typical decanter will do just fine. But you know what? No cab is the same. I'm sorry. No Pinot.
Yeah.
Pinots aren't all the same.
Yeah.
I mean, your Pinot from France is going to be different than your Pinot from California.
And this, have you tasted it yet, Keith?
I have.
What do you think?
I love this. I just think it's light, so I can't wait to see what it's like aerated.
But it is very light.
It is very
I think you can even see, as it's decanting, the color is very much lighter. It's almost like a raspberry color instead of a darker cherry
Here
color.
comes the fun part.
Some part, put it back in. So the other good thing about this is because you're able to put it back in the bottle, you can do it multiple times.
You're right.
So if you have a really kind of big tonic wine that has a lot of that really needs to breathe, you can literally just do it back and forth, back and forth.
I just love the fact that it goes back to the bottle and you can transport it. It's fascinating.
You can just keep twisting it for the entertainment value, too, throughout the meal.
Right? No, you can exactly.
Fascinating. Somebody invented this. It's never been around before. Look how long? I think it's been around a couple years only.
Maybe.
Wish it was me.
It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. People are so ingenious sometimes. Okay. And I wasn't sure what to expect on this show because I said we've done some type of aerations before, but I think these styles of aeration devices really are a step above what we had in the past. Really a step above.
This is a nice Pinot. You know what's nice about this Pinot is sometimes with Pinot, especially a California Pinot, sometimes you can get that cherry bomb.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Very heavy in your face with cherry. And sometimes that's what you want. This is from France, so obviously very well balanced. They know how to make a elegant Pinot.
Even their inexpensive stuff is generally well balanced. I mean, that's the thing about French wine. Which is why I tend to be drawn toward it, because even the cheap stuff tends to be, which I like in a wine, a drier wine.
Yeah.
And which is generally what you would get in a French wine. Yeah. Even the Pinots tend to be a little more minerally on the drier side. All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Oh my! That just flattened it right out.
It did.
Yeah.
That just flattened that Pinot right out.
I'll take on aerated on this one.
It took it by the stem and smacked it around and said no.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know if this is as good.
You know what? I tend to agree. I think with the Pinot, non-aerated is probably better. This might be one if you want to get some option in it, maybe just use a decanter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just so that it sits longer, it takes longer. I think the shot of oxygen in this kind of takes away from the flavor of it.
I'm sweating so much, I can't even believe it. It's just like, wow, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
That first sip of Pinot was so good, and it's just like...
Now it
It tastes like a different wine.
Yeah.
I would probably say, out of the wines we tasted tonight, this last one after being aerated is probably the flattest of them all.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I think we took a halfway decent Pinot Noir at a price point that's still $15, just like the cab. That was good out of the bottle. and I don't want to say ruined it, but I think we've lost some of the intricate details of the
Yeah.
Pinot Noir.
Right.
So maybe aeration is not.
I don't think it's for every wine.
Yeah.
I think you have to experiment. You have to really know what it is you're drinking. What are the notes? How heavy is it? And is the aeration actually going to add anything? Is it going to benefit the wine to make it more drinkable, more tasty, more versatile?
Yeah.
You know, but I think Keith is right. I think maybe these type of aeration devices, maybe not so much the smaller ones,
Right.
are maybe for the more powerful, big red wines.
Yeah.
You don't probably need them for the more delicate
Right.
reds.
And, you know, as you said, it's all about experimenting. The good thing about experimenting is you drink more wine.
Oh, yeah. What could go wrong?
You know, I didn't know what to expect on this show, and I was very curious, and we've learned a lot, I think, on this show. And once again, if I had to pick, because Rocky would be here with his little statue, the best in glass, that's going to be a tough one. I'm leaning towards either Keith's or Bryan's, only because they were different tasting. I'm going to go with the Italian for me.
Oh, very well. Thank you very much. I would say, I mean, I like the Spanish one was fantastic. I thought Keith's was.
It was good. It was good, and they were both good right out of the bottle.
Yeah.
Keith, you can pick your own.
You can pick your own and then.
I'm going to pick my own pre-aeration
Yep.
Ooh, interesting.
and Brian's after aeration.
To kind of screw up the thumbs. Let's see. Rach, what do you think? How does that
Nuance
screw things
there.
up?
Yeah.
Is that like all over the place? Is it a semi-tie with the two bottles at the end?
I think it might be
Semi-tie?
Yeah.
All right. But I think if we're going to take anything away from this show, is that aeration is good for some wines,
Yeah.
not for every wine. And you will have to experiment just like we did on the show tonight.
Exactly.
And it's a learning experience.
Absolutely.
That's right.
So,
fun one.
once again, I think it was a fantastic show, and I really enjoyed experimenting with the different wines and the different styles aerated. So, thank you both for bringing in some good wine.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
We'll have a new platter, too.
Now, I don't know what the future is going to hold. We're going to try to squeeze in one more show before the summer kicks in, and we all start to travel. I'm actually doing a great cruise with Bryan and his wonderful wife in September. We're doing the maiden voyage of
The Brilliant Lady.
the Brilliant Lady. Yes, that's going to be very exciting. And Keith, what do you got planned for the summer?
It'll be a calm summer for me. Next summer, I'll be going on a cruise down the Rhine for 2 weeks.
You're doing the Rhine cruise?
Wow. Nice.
So that'll be something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's one of the ones
Wow, yeah, I
that's. How's your place in Florida? Is that all fixed up and everything now, or?
Place in Florida is perfectly fixed up. Almost ready to put on the market. One or two more storms, I think I have to find another place
Yeah.
to zen out because it's not very relaxing.
It's just too much mentally for some people, I
Yeah.
think. But once again, Bryan, thanks, my man. Appreciate you coming to the show, Keith.
I
Always a
thank you
pleasure.
for inviting us.
I expect your Facebook page to blow this show out of the water like you always do when you're on the
Absolutely.
show.
Great meeting you.
You as well.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And as always, almost 15 years. It will be 15 years in November. I want to thank everybody for watching the show for all this time. Once again, keep me, keep Bryan, keep Keith, and Rocky, wherever he's in Tennessee. Keep all of us in your wine cellar.